it's kind of like, don't sit there and then constantly be like, she's my wife, I can talk about her all I want. She's my wife, she's my wife, she's my wife. Well, looking at that video, that's my husband. That's my husband. He's slapping some girl's ass. That's my husband. We're still married. He's still married. I'm still married.
But you left his home in the middle of the night. You didn't even have the balls to explain or say, you know what, this is not working for me. You just left. And that weekend, you were with another man. Ryan wasn't a problem to you until Ken came in the picture. And Ken is a man that wants nothing to do with you.
Ken's done. He refused to join Gypsy on her live, leaving her to face the mess she started alone. Gypsy had left a comment on Ryan's video with his new girlfriend, and when it blew up, she planned to go live to explain herself. But this time, Ken wasn't having it. He's fed up with the drama, the jealousy, the obsession with her ex she can't seem to let go of. This was supposed to be her chance to clear things up, to make it right. But without Ken by her side, it was all too clear he's pulling away. In that live, Gypsy tried to play it off, addressing her comment, trying to justify why she couldn't resist inserting herself into Ryan's life yet again. But the truth was obvious. Ken's absence said it all. This wasn't just another live session. This was Gypsy out there alone. And for once, she couldn't hide behind Ken. The possessiveness, the need to control, the refusal to let go of her past, it all came spilling out. And Ken wanted no part of it.
My jaw hit the floor when I saw this post that Gypsy just made like an hour ago. Is she hinting to the fact that she is trying to get back with Ryan?
Now, let's take a deeper look at what Ken's silence really means in this situation. Silence can sometimes be the loudest response. And in this case, Ken's absence speaks volumes. This isn't just about him not being there for one live session. It's a pattern of him not wanting to be involved in the chaos Gypsy keeps stirring up. He's in a relationship with Gypsy, engaged to her, about to start a family with her, and yet every time she's publicly discusses her ex, he's nowhere to be seen. Think about what that must feel like for Ken. Here he is, the one who's supposed to be her future, and yet she's out here more interested in discussing her ex.
I want to address a little comment that I made yesterday on a video. I'm sure all of you have clipped it and screenshotted it and seen it. So if you're in this live and you're watching, go ahead and clip this portion of the video, because I know a lot of people will. So I want to explain why I put the comment that I put on a video that I seen of Ryan dancing with a woman. How do I put this? I want Ryan to move on. And this is like, I don't talk about Ryan in my lives because I don't want to. Like, I don't have to, I don't want to. I have lots of other things to talk about.
That's not just uncomfortable, it's disrespectful. She's out here checking up on Ryan, leaving comments on his videos, and making little digs at his new relationships. Meanwhile, Ken's left wondering where he stands in all of this. Ken's silence is not passive here. It's intentional. He's watching all of this from the sidelines, probably wondering if this is really what he signed up for. And can we blame him? Imagine being in his position, seeing your partner go live and bring up her ex as if that's what really matters to her. Ken has every reason to feel sidelined, like he's not the priority. And Gypsy has to be aware of this on some level. She's careful about how she presents herself and the image she projects to her audience. She knows exactly how her actions look. And if she's making these comments about Ryan while Ken isn't around, it's likely because she's aware that he wouldn't approve.
But for me, it's kind of like, don't sit there and then constantly be like, she's my wife, I can talk about her all I want. She's my wife, she's my wife, she's my wife. Well, looking at that video, that's my husband. That's my husband. He's slapping some girl's ass. That's my husband. We're still married. He's still married. I'm still married. What I'm saying is 2 wrongs don't make a right. So, with that being said, this is the last time I'm talking about him on social media. I'm not going to talk about Ryan, and I would hope that he would give me the respect, or if he doesn't respect me, please respect my child.
There's a good chance she feels more comfortable engaging in this drama when Ken isn't there. Maybe even relieved that she doesn't have to face his disapproval in the moment. His silence in this case seems like a quiet statement of his own. It's like he's saying, I am not here for this. And yet, Gypsy keeps pushing, ignoring how this ongoing fixation on her ex is chipping away at her relationship with Ken. This isn't just about jealousy or unresolved feelings for Ryan. It's a respect issue. Right now, it looks like Ken isn't getting much of it. Gypsy's actions are sending a clear message, one that says, I'll talk about what I want, even if it crosses boundaries in our relationship. Ken's quiet distance suggests he's beginning to realize this and maybe starting to feel frustrated, even betrayed by her behavior. Let's talk about the tit-for-tat games Gypsy loves to play. This back and forth she keeps engaging in with Ryan. It's a tactic that's becoming one of her signature moves. She's quick to call Ryan out for petty behavior, accusing him of always being down for these back and forth.
But I did file for divorce. I did go ahead and make that separation legally. And then got with Ken. And I'm happy. I'm happy in my life, and I want Ryan to be happy. There are very few times that I'm on live and I go off on about Ryan. I don't do all that. Now, when I'm asked in interviews about him, I always say the truth. I always say, hey, I hope he's healing. I hope he's doing well. I want good intentions for him. But that's that. That's it. I do feel like all he does is talk about me and his lives, and it is frustrating because it's like you do have your own life going on, so why don't you talk about like your life?
But here's the irony. She's doing the exact same thing, if not more. Gypsy paints herself as the classy one, the person who's moved on and is supposedly above all this drama. She talks about the high road, but her actions say something entirely different. For someone who claims she's beyond all of this, she's clearly still invested in the game. She's constantly taking little digs at Ryan, making critical comments about his life choices, and casting judgment on things that really shouldn't matter if she's truly moved on.
It's completely normal for people to go back and forth with each other in little tit-for-tat ways. Okay, I'm not going to say we're on bad terms, but we're not on good terms. We're just on terms. So, when I seen the video, I was not jealous. I am happy for him. If he wants to go and dance with a million girls, if he wants to go to a club, cool, I'm happy. I don't care. Like, I want him to find someone and I want him to be happy.
This isn't just hypocritical, it's manipulative. Gypsy is setting herself up as the bigger person while actively stirring the pot. Every comment she makes about Ryan is calculated to keep the focus on herself and to subtly frame Ryan as the one who's obsessed. She's out here mentioning him on her live sessions, checking up on what he's doing, and then complaining when he responds. It's as if she wants to have it both ways, where she can talk about him but doesn't want him to acknowledge her existence. Now, let's think about how this affects Ken. Imagine being with someone who's always wrapped up in these petty games with their ex. Ken probably thought he was entering a relationship with someone who had left all that behind. He likely expected maturity, someone ready to move forward, but instead, he's finding himself pulled up into this never-ending game of one-manship, with Gypsy admitting to feeling irritated by Ryan's actions. Ken might be realizing that this relationship isn't what he hoped for.
Did you not just post DNA results to prove that your husband was not the father of your child? Be fucking for real, Gypsy. Girl.
Gypsy's behavior doesn't reflect the higher healing she talks about so much. Instead, it shows an inability to let go of her past. And it's not like Ken is oblivious to this. While she calls out Ryan for engaging in these little games, she's doing the same thing. And It's exhausting. Ken has to be wondering if this is really what he signed up for. And it's not just about the tit-for-tat game. This behavior raises a deeper question. If Gypsy is so invested in these games with her ex, where does that leave Ken? Because right now, it seems like Gypsy is more interested in winning against Ryan than in building something meaningful with Ken. This tit-for-tat game isn't just childish. It's a sign that Gypsy is still holding on to her past. And Ken, watching all this unfold, might be questioning if he wants to be part of it. Gypsy has a go-to move whenever she faces criticism. She blames society and accuses people of sexism.
But what I am disappointed in is society. So it was not even Ryan's video that kind of like made me frustrated. It was society's view of the situation. So, and I understand that sexism and favoritism towards men has been a thing for as like long as can be, okay? So I just don't see how when a man does something, then it's praised. But when a woman does something, she gets slandered and like slammed for it. So granted, I understand that I broke Ryan's heart. I left the marriage. I was not a good wife. I could totally admit where I'm wrong in that situation.
This isn't a new tactic for her. It's something she's leaned on throughout her life. Whenever the spotlight's on her actions, she shifts the narrative to paint herself as the victim of a biased world. It's a way of deflecting responsibility and avoiding accountability. Gypsy's life has been marked by her ability to portray herself as misunderstood and mistreated. During her trial, she relied heavily on the narrative of being a victim, framing her actions as the only way to escape her difficult circumstances. There's truth in her struggles, but over time, it's become clear that she knows how to use that narrative to her advantage. When faced with criticism, she plays the sexism card, suggesting that any backlash is due to gender bias rather than her own behavior. But here's the twist. Society has actually shown a lot of leniency towards Gypsy. She received a lighter sentence than her co-defendant Nicholas and was paroled even after her role in her mother's death became public. Many would argue that her portrayal as a victim contributed to the public's willingness to forgive her. When she claims that society's judgment of her is rooted in sexism, it feels more like a tactic to dodge accountability than a genuine critique of bias. This selective use of social issues raises questions about her sincerity. If Gypsy truly believed in accountability and personal growth, she would focus on building her future rather than using the sexism card to silence her critics. By framing the backlash as a societal bias, she's attempting to shut down the conversation and deflect attention from her actions. Her pattern of blaming society instead of owning up to her behavior is evident in her relationship with Ryan too. She's quick to say that the society favors men. Whenever Ryan receives attention, despite the fact that she's the one keeping the drama alive, it's a clear attempt to control the public narrative. Gypsy doesn't want scrutiny. She wants sympathy, and she knows how to get it. One of the most concerning aspects of Gypsy's behavior lately is her use of her unborn child as a way to deflect criticism. This isn't new for Gypsy. She's used relationships in the past to shape her public image. From her dependency on her mother to her dynamics with Nicholas, now it seems she's using her baby to maintain control over her narrative. In recent lives and statements, Gypsy has positioned her baby as a reason why others, especially Ryan, should stop engaging with her. She talks about respecting the baby as a way to make her critics back off.
I feel like, for the most part, I've been very classy. I might not have always been classy, but I have been trying to be classy about the situation. And I just want him to give me that same respect too. He doesn't have to, but it would be nice. And I think the bigger picture here is there is a child in this situation. It's not his child, so I know that it's not his problem, but there is a child involved. And right now, me and him are acting very childish of our own. And we both need to grow the fuck up. Because it's not about him, it's not about me, it's not about Ken, it's about this baby. This baby is innocent in all of this. This baby didn't ask to be brought into the situation. So the grown-up thing to do would be for the both of us to stop this tit-for-tat game, and once the divorce is final, go our separate ways. Like, I'm happy in my life with Ken, we're expecting a baby, he can have a girlfriend, I don't care.
It's like she's saying any public criticism of her is somehow an attack on her child. But when you look at her actions, it's hard to believe that her top priority is her child's well-being. If Gypsy's real goal was to create a peaceful environment for the baby, wouldn't she avoid these public dramas altogether? Instead, she keeps engaging, drawing attention to herself while demanding that others stay silent. This selective invocation of her child as a shield reveals her true priorities. It's not about protecting her child, it's about protecting her image. Her actions speak louder than her words here. She doesn't ask for space to focus on her pregnancy or for peace for her future family. Instead, she brings up the baby only when she needs a defense against criticism. This pattern suggests that Gypsy is more interested in maintaining control over her public image than in genuinely prioritizing her child's well-being. Gypsy constantly talks about how she's moved on and focusing on her future with Ken, describing it as part of her journey toward higher healing. But her actions don't reflect someone who's let go of the past. One of the biggest contradictions is her insistence on referring to Ryan as my husband, despite of being engaged to Ken.
But for me, it's kind of like, don't sit there and then constantly be like, she's my wife, I can talk about her all I want. She's my wife, she's my wife, she's my wife. Well, looking at that video, that's my husband. That's my husband. He's slapping some girl's ass. That's my husband. We're still married. He's still married. I'm still married. What I'm saying is two wrongs don't make a right. So, with that being said, this is the last time I'm talking about him on social media. I'm not going to talk about Ryan, and I would hope that he would give me the respect, or if he doesn't respect me, please respect my child.
This choice of words isn't accidental. By continuing to refer to Ryan as her husband, Gypsy maintains a symbolic hold over him, suggesting that she still has a say in his life. It's similar to what she did with Nicolas Gaudejean after her release. Even though she was legally separated from him, she kept mentioning his name in interviews, framing their relationship in a way that kept him connected to her story. This is the same tactic she's now using with Ryan, maintaining her still married status as a reason to stay involved in his life. If Gypsy has truly moved on, why does she feel the need to bring up her marital status? Why comment on Ryan's new relationships? It seems to be about control. By reminding herself and the public that she's still married, Gypsy keeps a part of Ryan tied to her narrative, even as she claims to be moving forward with Ken. Gypsy's reference to her healing journey only adds to the hypocrisy. She talks about this higher path as if she's on a different level from Ryan, but her behavior doesn't reflect that at all. Someone who's truly at peace doesn't constantly critique their ex's relationships or claim ownership over their life. True healing would mean leaving Ryan out of her life altogether, but Gypsy's healing appears to be more of a public performance than anything genuine. Finally, let's look at how all of this affects Ken. He's been silent, even distancing himself from Gypsy's recent outbursts. He's watching as she engages in these public spat, using their child as a shield, and continues to focus on her ex.
For the last, I want to say, couple weeks, Ryan has increasingly kind of gotten on my nerves. I mean, he was my husband. I can say that, okay? And we are still technically married. So I think it's completely normal for people to go back and forth with each other in little tit-for-tat ways. Okay, I'm not going to say we're on bad terms, but we're not on good terms. We're just on terms. So
for someone who thought he was her fresh start, he might be feeling like he's just a placeholder. Ken might be coming to terms with the fact that Gypsy's focus isn't on their future, but on maintaining control over a past she claims to have moved on from. Her actions reveal a pattern of deflecting blame, avoiding responsibility, and manipulating the narrative to make herself look better. And as Ken watches this play out, he might be realizing that he's been pulled into something he never signed up for. So where does this leave us? Gypsy claims she's moved on, but her actions show otherwise. Ken, who was supposed to be her new beginning, is left on the sidelines, watching as his fiancée obsesses over her ex and creates a drama out of thin air. How can we blame him? Because while Gypsy is out here trying to keep the past alive, Ken might be the one who finally has to say enough.